Okay. So cover the most important chapter of for the EZPA exam today. We'll cover that, and then we will explore JIRA tool. So we will get into JIRA and we will create a backlog. We'll create epics. We'll create user stories. This is, guys, very, very important for you to work as a business analyst in an organization. So be very, very attentive in today's class. I'm going to show you how to configure JIRA and how to start using it. So that even after the master class, you can continue to use it. You'll have your own account in JIRA and you can continue to use it, exploring more features of JIRA, keeping on uploading user stories, and you'll get a very good hang on of it. Further, when we have our practice lab sessions are open sessions. So in that, again, we will create a backlog. We'll create user stories and we will take our learning to the next level, because there you will be doing only activities. Here in our masterclass, we have to cover the ECBA theory also. So that's the reason it's theory plus practicals. So the FRD that I showed you yesterday, is everyone clear on how to write a functional requirements? Before I go ahead, I want that confirmation from your side. Okay. So what are the elements I mentioned should be there in a complete requirement? How will you, as a BA, gauge, when you are an entry-level business analyst, how will you gauge that the requirement that you have written is complete? What are the elements that you'll check? Come on, let's see how many of you can tell me that. Since you're clear on the requirements, tell me what are the elements that should be there in a requirement, in a function requirement. How will you check it before you send it to your customer? My question, let me repeat my question. Let me start the whiteboard so that I can mention there. I hope my whiteboard is visible now. So the scenario is this. Let me mention this scenario. You have completed requirement gathering. On the customer. You have also confirmed with him your understanding of what he actually needs. Now, your next step is that you will start analyzing each of these requirements and documenting it. Let's say you have finished writing one requirement. Let me mention writing one functional requirement. You have just finished writing one functional requirement. How will you check that this requirement is complete? That means you have not missed out anything. There are no gaps. How will you ensure that there are no gaps? This is the scenario, guys. You have completed your requirements gathering. You have confirmed your understanding of the customer also of what he actually needs. So the customer has said, yes, you got my point correctly. This is exactly what I need. Now you start analyzing these requirements further and documenting it. So you finish writing your first functional requirement. How will you check that this requirement is complete, guys? What do you think? What are the core elements that should be there, which can give you, which can serve as a checklist for you? This is there, this is there, this is there. That means what requirement is complete. Yes, compare with source, that is there. Ensure that all the things that are mentioned in the source document is there. That's one way of checking completeness. What are the other ways? This we already said. Compare with the source, compare with other elicitation results. Okay, let me put it in this way. Once you write your functional requirement, first, check it with the check it with the BRD, which means validate it with the source. The other thing, there are some core elements that should be included in a functional requirement. So make a note of this, guys. So I will tell you in a very crisp way, your every functional requirement that you write should have a positive flow. It should have negative scenarios. Business rules. If the page has any business rules, okay, every page will not have. But if it's a screen with data entry, then definitely there will be business rules or validations, you can call it. Positive flow, negative scenario, business rules, validations, and data elements. What do I mean by data elements? The data should be shared from user or data that should be displayed to the user. Okay. So there is a way in which we can put the data elements all together. We can do that using the data dictionary format. I'll just open up FRD and show you what is a data dictionary. Okay, I'll show you that. But this is a quick way of checking whether you as a BA, you have not made any misses or not, misses in writing the requirements. If you see, yesterday when I wrote the function requirement, first I focused on the positive flow. Positive flow, where I started my flow saying that this particular screen will be invoked when the buyer clicks on sign up now or whatever name I give, registration, register now. I started the flow from there. And then I wrote, okay, the registration form is going to display the following fields to him. He captured all of those fields. And then what happens on submit of that form? A verification email is sent to the user, and then how the user clicks on the verification link in the email. So what we are doing is first we are covering the positive flow, which is also called the happy scenario. Okay? This, in a very simple terminology, the positive flow is also called the happy scenario. Why happy scenario? Because this is a scenario where we are assuming that nothing is going wrong. That means there are no errors popping up. Assuming that I have, I as a user, I've clicked on register now. The screen registration form is currently displayed to me, and I fill in all the data correctly. Okay. I fill in all the data correctly and accurately. I click on submit. On submit, the system sends an email. I as a very obedient user, I go and click on the verification link in the email, and my account is created on the website. That is a happy scenario. Once that happy scenario is complete, then think about the negative scenarios. Negative scenarios are scenarios where the application can break. These will include certain validation violations, certain violations done by the user. That means in the form you might have indicated certain fields are mandatory, but still he might leave it blank. So there will be an error message popping up saying that you have to fill this in order to open an account with us, create an account with us. Okay. So other negative scenarios can include that the verification email did not go through. We documented a couple of negative scenarios, right? Verification email did not go, or the user did not click on the verification link in the email. All these are failure scenarios. Okay. So let me give a code word here. Failure scenarios. Throughout the masterclass, I'll be asking you about these components. Okay. Nowhere in BA BOK there is a mention of this. This is a trick I'm telling you, tips and tricks that I'm giving you for you to work effectively as a BA in a project. There is nowhere in BBOK they say, please check the following in your functional requirement. They leave it totally up to you how to check it. Okay. So the only check that they have mentioned is check it against the source document. That definitely we have to do. We have to see that everything that's mentioned in the source document, we are covering it or not. After that, there are a couple of checks we can make in order to ensure that our requirements are not having gaps. So as a BA, I've always worked hard to ensure my students are giving quality output to the organizations that they are working with. So this is a quick list that I've prepared for you guys. Take a note of this. So others are not able to see my screen, is it? I'm getting message that not able to see my screen. I'm going to take this into a Word document in that case. There are. This is very important. Anyways, if in case anybody is not able to see, just let me, this is very important. So I don't want anybody to miss. Let me just paste the same in a Word document. Yeah, second Word is just opening up. Yes, it's a little weird today. It's strange. Need to copy this. Okay, whiteboard saving is not there, I believe. That's the issue. Directly whiteboard copy is not there, I think. No problems. Yeah, if you have not toggled your screen, do that, guys. If in case that's the reason you're not able to see. Just let me. So positive flow, negative scenarios, data elements, business rules or validation, and of course, first thing is check with the BRD to ensure that you're covering everything. That is the first item. Okay. So this is a way in which you can check whether you're covering every aspect of functional requirements or not. This is a way in which you can ensure that your analysis is complete. Okay, and this is the same method that you will use when you start writing user stories in JIRA. That's the reason, very important, guys, note this down. So yesterday, we spoke about a whole bunch of techniques, right? We discussed a whole bunch of techniques. And we also discussed about tracing requirements. What is a word that comes to your mind when you think about tracing, guys? What is that one word that I told you? These one words are very important so that you can relate it with the book. Yes. Wonderful. Linking. So your business need that you collect from the user, business need, should be will be linked to a business requirement. This will be linked to a functional requirement, and functional requirement will be linked to the test cases your testing team develops. So this type of traceability in this direction, where we are seeing where we are saying business need is linked to BR is linked to FR, and FR is linked to test cases. This is called as forward traceability, guys. Forward traceability. This is tracing right from the business need, from the origin right down to the test cases where the testing is happening for that particular feature. Now, there is backward traceability also. What is backward traceability? Just reverse this, guys. Can anybody type in the chat window? When you reverse this forward traceability, what does it become? Yes, that's correct. You guys are very attentive. So from test case, you should have FR, then you should have BR, and then we have the business need. This is backward traceability. So this is how linkages are maintained. And like I said, tracing requirements is something that is usually done in very large projects. So if you are working in a very small project, you might be a BA in a small project and you must have never done tracing. Okay, you must have never created a traceability report. So that's fine. In small projects, we don't require that much amount of traceability. But large projects, the volume of requirements is very huge, right? So it will be 200, 250, 300 requirements, sometimes even more than that. So it all depends upon how huge is your scope of work, how huge that particular application is. So when in large projects, tracing requirements, creating a traceability metrics. So you will hear this word very often. Traceability metrics is very, very important in large projects. And how do we create it? Well, if you're using a tool like JIRA or Rally, so all the projects nowadays use requirement management tools. Any one of these tools that I'm mentioning, your organization might be using that, depending upon which tool is used in most of the projects in that particular organization. Every organization must have procured licenses for a particular tool. Okay? So if you are using a proper requirement management tool, traceability metrics is generated automatically by the tool. You don't have to worry about it. So as a BA, you just need to enter the business requirement, enter the functional requirement, and link the BR and FR together. And we'll see a small demo of how epics are linked to use cases, user stories. So you'll get an idea. The same has to be done in the waterfall mode. So BR and FR, when you add it in the tool, you have to establish connection between both of them. Then when your testing team uploads the test cases, test scenarios, they will connect it to your FR. So they will, the module will ask them, this test case belongs to which particular function requirement. So they can just select the name of the function requirement and it will all be connected. So at the end, you can generate a report which can show all these linkages together. So that's the whole essence of tracing requirements. As the English meaning of tracing means, you're trying to find a path, you're trying to trace something. This is how you have to remember. Many times this question is also asked in the interviews. I'm explaining it in very simple terms. Explain your interviewer also in a very simple terms. When you read it in BA Bob, it becomes slightly heavy because they have explained using a lot of jargons. So understand this concept is very simple, guys. And if you understand in very simple terms, you can explain it to anybody who's asking you for an definition of what tracing is all about. So in case of agile projects, guys, agile projects, we don't have business requirements, functional requirements, and all. So there, the journey starts with epics. So the epics are linked to user stories here, and the user stories will be linked to the test cases. This is how. So of course, business needs will be there. So in JIRA, usually we start adding epics. We don't add business need as such. Business needs are there in the BR document, the initial scope document that's given by the customer. So epics are there. Epics are linked to user stories, and user stories can be linked to test cases. So this is what is the format in Agile. Then I told you we will do a prioritization exercise. Has everyone gone through the videos I asked you to go through in requirements management course bundle? There's a video on the Moscow prioritization technique and change impact analysis. How many of you have gone through that? very important to go through these videos. The videos that are uploaded in the requirements management and the entire set of course bundles that I've given you, you'll see these videos are not more than 15 minutes or 20 minutes. I think the biggest video is just 20 minutes. I've not done a video more than that. I have kept these videos very short and crisp to the point so that you don't have to, you can watch these videos, listen to these videos. Anytime you have a 15-minute slot, you can finish one video. Anytime that you're traveling to work or coming back from office, and just listen to this video and you can understand that particular concept. So there are no 1 hour, 2 hour videos. Okay. It's crisp to the point. Very important, guys. Go through that video. Moscow technique is discussed in this video. What is the full form of Moscow, guys? Moscow prioritization. Yes, that's really great. Talks about must have, should have, could have, and won't have. So this is one prioritization techniques which is widely used across the industry, Moscow technique. Go through the videos to understand each and every component of Moscow in detail. Okay, and we will see how prioritization has been discussed in VABOK. Okay, so let me bring just open VABOK on your desk, and I'll take you to that particular page. Now, VABOK does not recommend use of any one technique. So you'll not see the mention of Moscow in VABOK. You'll not hear the mention of Cano technique or any other technique. Okay. They talk about only the parameters that should be used for prioritization. Okay. That's because they do not promote a particular technique or a particular tool that is used. We open VABOK. And we'll do a prioritization right now. Now go to page number 88. Page number 88 of VABOK. Let me just share my screen and show you that. There I am. Yeah. I'm on page number 88 of VABOK. So what VABOK talks about are factors that influence prioritization. And what they say is, depending upon the nature of the project, depending upon the type of application that you're building, you have to decide which factors are applicable to your project for prioritization. So a couple of factors that they mentioned is the benefit parameter, which of course is something which Moscow technique also talks about. Benefit, when your prioritization, now listen, pay attentive to this, be very attentive to this, because we're going to do an exercise after this and you're going to tell me which are the features I should pick up as a high priority. Okay. So I'll just blindly go with whatever you are suggesting. So for you to make those suggestions, it is very important for you to understand what factors are used for prioritization. First is benefit. Think about. So VABOK says, as a VA, first think about how much value that feature is going to give your customer. What is the value behind it? So consider this benefit as one of the factor. Next is penalty. Now, in certain projects, there are penalty clauses indicated in the contract. The contract that we signed with the customer, there are certain penalty clauses included, where the customer might say, if certain requirements that we indicate as high priority are not implemented in a particular time frame, then the IT company has to pay a penalty to us. They will be penalized. Now, these penalty clauses are not there in every project. Let me tell you that. Some projects have SLAs. It is called SLAs, service level agreements, In the SLAs, there are some penalty clauses, which simply indicates if you do not adhere to specific timelines, if we are giving you some high priority tickets and you do not address it within the next 24 hours, 48 hours, whatever is indicated by the customer, then you X amount of penalty will be charged. So BA Box says, if you are working in that kind of a project, which is like time bound and having critical requirements that have to be fulfilled within that time bound, or then there is a penalty associated with it, then your prioritization factor should be the penalty parameter. That is, pick up the high priority ones that are indicated by the customer. Okay. Cost. In certain factors, we prioritize requirements purely based on the cost associated with it. In these kind of projects, your customer might say that I have a limited budget. Okay, for this particular quarter, I have this particular budget. Tell me within this budget, how many features can be rolled out? Just like we can say, imagine the same scenario. If we are, if you're building our own house and the architect tells us that, he's going to charge us X dollars for the entire house, and you might not have the complete amount right now. So you might request him to take the payment in installments. And you might say, for the first 3 months, this is the max that I can pay for you. You tell me what are the areas of the house that you can finish in that this X amount. Very simple example, guys. This is a real life scenario. The same scenario we have to relate to an IT project, where cost is a important element. Then we have risk parameter. That means in certain projects, there are some very risky requirements. As a BA, when you start working in a project and as your experience grows, you will be able to understand what are those risky requirements. But risky requirements are those requirements which have some amount of difficulty in implementing it. Or when your technical team implements that requirement, there are high chances that it might break another feature, go ahead and break some other feature. So in that case, whenever there were risky requirements, I used to highlight it to the customer during the prioritization call and tell them that, we should not take up this requirements at the moment because we have some very crucial features that are being rolled out in this release. I don't want those crucial features to be impacted with this one particular requirement because this is going to impact the others also. Okay, that's an example of risk. Then we have dependencies. Now, this is a very important aspect, guys. Throughout BA Box, you will see a lot of mention on dependencies between requirements. A very simple explanation of dependencies that I'll tell you is, let's say, let's go with our automobile project itself. We have a requirement of a buyer registration. We have another requirement for seller registration. Now, after buyer-seller registration, we also need the login functionality, right? Now, buyer and seller, once they register, they create the account, then they should be able to log into the account. So if you see, the registration and login, these two features are highly dependent on each other. Why they're dependent on each other? Let's say if I decide to roll out the registration in this release, and I do not create the login page at all, I postpone it because maybe my team doesn't have the bandwidth, they're overloaded with work. So rolling out only the registration form in production, making it live doesn't make sense. Users can come and create accounts, but they cannot access account. They cannot log in. Imagine a website which does not have login functionality. You understand this, guys? You're getting my point? If you're getting my point, type CL clear. Very important point. When we are talking about dependencies, you have to understand that this is what dependencies mean. Is everyone clear? Yes. So this is an important aspect of dependencies. Throughout BEBOP, when you read about dependencies, they will talk about relationship between requirements. One requirement cannot be fulfilled unless the other requirement is fulfilled. This is an important statement, guys. One requirement cannot be fulfilled unless the other requirement is fulfilled. That's a typical definition of dependency. Like I told you, the registration form is live, but there is no login form. Doesn't make sense. Then we have time-sensitive requirements. Okay, time-sensitive requirements have something called as best before date. Where do you usually find this best before date? Have you heard of this term before? Best before date. You must have not heard of it in business analysis, but in the outside world it is. Yes, great, great. Others, you have not heard of this best before date? That's correct. We find it in all the perishable items, best before date. So we find it in milk, we find it in bread. Because what is the company trying to tell you by adding the best before date? What is the company trying to tell you? Come on, be responsive on chat. What is the company trying to tell you? Yes, the company is trying to tell us that consume this product before so XYZ date. Before this date, consume it. After that, we are not responsible. If you get a stomach infection after that, we are not responsible for that. Yes, it's good to consume before that particular date. So now you might be wondering how requirements have a best before date. They don't get spoiled, right? They're not like perishable items, bread and milk. They don't get spoiled. Then how requirements have a best before date? So look at the statement that says, best before date of the requirement, after which the implementation of the requirement loses value. That means you might go ahead and implement that requirement after that date, but there's no value behind it. A very simple example. Every December, we have the great Amazon sale, right? So they usually start the sale towards the last week of November or first week of December. Or it's the Xmas sales, or the sales for the new year. So they announce this sale quite ahead of time. They keep on promoting the big Amazon sale is just going to start on the 1st of December. And that is the time period that their sales are in an all-time peak. So that's the reason they advertise so much. There is a huge surge in the sales during that particular period. And you get very heavy discounts and things like that. So people go on a shopping spree during that time. Now let's think about a scenario where the Amazon senior management has told the IT team who is maintaining the website, the Amazon website. So the senior management has told them that these promotions, the great Amazon sale should be put up on our homepage and it should start exactly on the 1st of December. That's the hard date. Okay, put it up on our homepage and cut down all prices of these products. The product list will be given to them. These are the products that will be sold in a discounted rate of 20% off, 30% off, and that's given to the IT team. This is what you have to upload in the backend, and the sale will start exactly on the 1st of December. Now, let's say, due to some reason, the IT team could not meet that particular date, could not meet that particular timeline. Maybe they were working on some other requirements. Maybe they faced some technical glitches, some technical issues. They could not upload all the products. We could not start the Amazon sale on the 1st of December, but they could do it only by the 3rd of December. So they were able to do it by 3rd, but not on the 1st. Now what happened is the company has lost 3 days of revenue, which is a huge amount because the sale started 3 days late. That particular requirement, which was given by the senior management, was a time-sensitive requirement, which had to be fulfilled before a particular date, and it was not fulfilled. So although the requirement went live after that, it has lost its value. So this are typical time to market scenarios. That's the reason we say time to market. A particular requirement should reach the market in a particular time period. Then we have stability as a parameter and compliance as another parameter. Stability, anybody remembers this requirement attribute, guys? Stability equal to what? I mentioned, I believe, in the second session or something. What is stability of a requirement? If anyone, one of you have noted it, you can tell me what is stability. Yes. No one remembers about stability? Stability indicates the maturity of the requirement, which means the likelihood of the requirement, whether it will change or not. So if during the requirements gathering meeting, I used to find that the customer stakeholders are very unsure about a particular feature. They've still not made up their mind about the feature. I used to automatically give that feature a low stability as well as a low priority. So that's one factor. And then the compliance factor, that is if a particular requirement is very crucial for the bank to comply with certain laws, then it automatically gets high priority, right? It automatically becomes a high priority requirement. So these are some of the factors which BA talks about. So the risk part of it, if any one of you have not understood the risk, let me just repeat the risk parameter of prioritization. I give you an example here that in some projects, when we used to conduct the prioritization exercise, I used to highlight certain features which I felt were rather risky in nature. Because those requirements, for example, those requirements might be changes that the customer is bringing to an existing functionality. So he must have said that I want a particular rule, particular checking that is done in a screen to be changed. Particular business rule has to be changed. Now, that particular business rule might be used, the same business rule might be used across 10 other screens, 10 other screens or 5 other screens. So if I change that business rule at one place, it is incomplete. I need to go ahead and change it in 5 places. And changing it in 5 places needs an extensive round of testing to be done to see that nothing else is breaking. So in those scenarios, I used to suggest to the customer that I used to highlight it to him and leave it up to him to decide. Okay, so I used to tell him that this particular requirement is a change to a crucial business rules in our system. This particular business rule is being used across so and so screens. Now, if we change it, we have to be ready with the fact that there might be a certain impact in these screens. So the risk level for this change is very high. So when we have more bandwidth, we can go ahead with this particular change. I'm not saying that don't do it. It is crucial for him. He wants to make that change. So definitely we have to do it. But maybe at that particular time, the urgency for that change is not that high. So all this you will gauge, guys, when you discuss with the customer. You'll figure out that this is not an urgent change for him. This is something that he would like to do, but he has time to roll it out. So if in a particular release, I have enough items loaded in the bucket for that particular release, then I would tell the customer that it's better that we don't take a risk with this item, because this particular item can break 10 other items. Okay, so let's look at this item in the next release. So that's the risk parameter. So, and the risk parameter, again, you'll be able to better analyze it when you speak to your technical team also. So you will get certain inputs from your technical team. They will come back to you and tell that, there are high chances that this requirement is difficult to implement. Either it can be difficult to implement, that is, the technical team have a problem implementing it, or maybe it's going to break something in the system, which I don't know. So risk can be 2 ways. So it might be a feasibility issue, or maybe simply that something is going to break in the system. So let me start my prioritization exercise. Okay. I want each one of you to keep these parameters open in front of you, and look at my screen. I'm going to show you some features in the screen. I want you to indicate which features should be taken up for the next release. Okay. And at the end of the exercise, I'm going to ask you what are the parameters you used for prioritization. Let me just pull out my Excel sheet. Everyone can see my Excel sheet, I hope. So in this Excel sheet, you are going to help me prioritize. And if you learn this exercise, guys, I've created this exercise in a very simple way. If you learn this exercise, you will be able to do prioritization in an actual project. So I've listed some epics over here. Epics are very high-level requirements that are given by the business. Only the name of the features are there. So these features are exactly for our automobile project, the automobile project that you're working on. Each of the features that should be there is some are features, some are tasks that has to be done. Okay. So this is a bucket list you can call this as a backlog, the main backlog, the product backlog. So the product backlog contains how many items? Let me scroll and see. Okay. So right now we have 13 items in the product backlog. And the backlog consists of features, or it can be a backend task that has to be completed. Okay. Let me clarify. I want you guys to see this Let me let the entire backlog be visible to you. So let me reduce the size. Again. So the entire set of backlog is visible to you. Now, the customer has told you that he has a limited budget, and there's no way he can roll out all the features in the upcoming release. He want to identify which are the features that he should consider. Okay, I'm not going to tell you what factors you should consider. You're supposed to keep BA box in front of you. Look at the different parameters, and I don't want you to get into the Moscow technique or anything. Forget about that. Just look at BA box. We are going to follow BA box. That's the industry-wide best practices are included in that book. Keep BA box in front of you and look at this backlog. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. I'll wait for 5 minutes. Just in your document, in your Word document or Excel sheet or in a piece of paper, just mention item numbers, which you feel that the customer should pick up on a priority basis. And for every item that you're marking, you should have a justification as to why you are asking him to pick that up as a priority. So apply some thought to it. I don't want you to randomly pick up anything. I'll leave you for 5 minutes to just think about this. Okay. So we'll finish this prioritization exercise now. 5 minutes for completing this, guys. After which I will ask you what other requirements that have you prioritized for the next release. Okay, guys, I'm back. Are you ready with your responses? Just if in case any of you are confused, let me just tell you this. Login feature will obviously allow the buyer and seller to log into the application. That is the login feature. Upload existing seller. If you remember in the bootcamp project, the buyer and seller information are like in the paper-based files, right? So we have to upload all of that data in the backend. So this is a backend task. Uploading the existing seller is one of the tasks that our technical team needs to do. So this will not be a feature on the website, but a task. Then we have the registration, buyer and seller registration, right? That's a feature. Uploading existing buyer, this again is a backend task where all the buyer information that is there in the paper-based files that has to be entered into our online database. Promotional offers page. This particular page will naturally advertise new upcoming vehicles and all of that with discounts, and it's a promotion page. Search engine obviously is a search engine that will facilitate both the buyer and seller to search for a vehicle of his or her choice. Then blogs. Blogs will be informative articles about specific vehicles or how you can choose the right vehicle for you. So when you usually go to a website, you find these kind of informative articles which can help a user take a decision. The eighth one is design and development of the entire website. Design and development of the homepage of the website, sorry. So this is again a technical task where there will be graphic designers involved in designing the website and developing the homepage of the website. Then the compare cars feature, which allows the buyer to compare two or more cars together. Suppose he is confused between three models. He doesn't know which one is the model that he should go for. So compare car feature allows you to allows the buyer to compare all the features of those three models by which he can take a decision. Scheduling a test drive, the name is quite explanatory. It will help help the buyer schedule a test drive as per his convenience. Then the online payment module where he can make payment once he likes a vehicle. Apply for loans. If he wishes to apply for loan before he buys a particular vehicle, then this module will help him do that. Then upload car inventory. Upload car inventory will help. It's again a backend task which our technical team will do, where they will upload all the existing inventory, all the details that is there in their paper-based files about the cars that are already listed with them that has to be uploaded in the online system. Okay, just in case you're confused about a particular feature, I thought I'll explain that. Now put in the chat window, guys, what do you feel the customer should take on priority? Which are the numbers that we should consider on priority? Okay, people are just go on marking. People are saying login, then we say, some are saying, I'm just marking it up. I'm not telling you whether it's right or wrong. We'll do an analysis later. Design and development, whatever you're saying, I'm just marking. What else? I'm saying car inventory. Okay, car inventory. I marked car inventory. What else comes into your mind? Is search engine. Okay, third and 3 and 1. I marked that. Okay, we have already marked the 6th one. Ninth. One. Anything else, guys? One mentioned 10th one. Okay, I'm marking that. Okay. You realize what's happening, guys? I'm just going on marking what you're asking me to mark. Do you realize what's happening? The list is becoming big. That is there. But I'm here marking all the items that you have indicated as high priority. Okay, I'm not looking into medium, low. I don't want to discuss that. I've just marked the items that you have indicated as high priority. Should go in the next release. Okay. So you see, most of you have gone ahead and picked up everything from the bucket list. Everything from the bucket list. Which means you're telling your customer everything is high priority. All of this. So your technical team, in short, will be maxed out completing this work. They will not be able to deliver the entire thing because you have prioritized a huge bunch of list features for them to be completed in the next release. So now let's look at it in a different perspective and see how much we should actually pick up. I told you keep BA box open in front of you, and the different parameters that we learned in BA box, that's what we're going to use. First, taking the parameter of benefit, which is very important. How much of value is going to get out? Considering the value parameter, enabling the users, just let me do the highlights for all of this. So when we take the value parameter into consideration, we might feel all of these are of value for the user. Right? Each of these features are value. It's not a waste feature, right? None of these are waste features. Okay? Even things like blogs, promotional offers are again, it's going to bring revenue to the company. That's also value. Even the blogs are informative articles. It's a content article, but that many customers visit the blogs, read the blogs, and then make a decision. Yes, this is the right car for me to buy. So there is immense value in each of the feature space. It's not that we are not degrading any particular feature, saying that, okay, this is a waste feature. But we have to identify what are the features that should be absolutely considered for the next release. Now, there are several parameters indicated there, right? Taking into consideration several parameters, a bunch of those parameters, all of those parameters you can't apply, okay? All the risk parameter, compliance parameter, you can't apply all of that. Let's look at the value parameter. Registration on the website. Why? Because the customer, the automobile company needs to know who are the leads coming into the website, right? Who are the people looking into their website data? So they need both buyer and seller information. So registration will facilitate that. For them to collect information about the users visiting the website, registration is very, very essential because their team can then follow up with those guys to close the process, and maybe even help them offline if they're not able to find a suitable car on the website. Registration is of utmost value. Search engine. Without a search engine, it will be difficult for anybody coming to the website to find a car of its choice. Isn't it? If you have just listed or some random cars on the homepage, that's no good. He should be able to filter out your repository and look and narrow down on that exact car that he's looking for. You're just randomly showing some few cars on the homepage that will not interest the user. So search engine, a very valuable feature. Design and development of the website. Without this, we can't start, guys. Right? If the homepage is not ready, design and development of the homepage. If this is not done, then we can't take it to production. Homepage not there. Have you seen any website like this? So this has absolute benefit. So we have to take that. Then let's look at the functionality of schedule a test drive. Now, let's say a buyer registers on the website, searches for a particular car. He likes a couple of cars, 2-3 cars he likes. The next step for him will be to schedule a test drive. So if we do not push in this particular feature, he can't go to the logical next step. He cannot go, which means the process will end over there. He will come and see. He narrowed down on 2 cars of his choice. but he doesn't know how to proceed. Process ends over there. So schedule a test drive is absolutely essential. Online payment. Nowadays, every particular product that we are buying, most of our purchases are happening online, guys. We are so used to online payment now. So if this facility is not given to the customer, there will be a category of customers who will fall out. They'll say that, okay, we are not going to come to your office offline to make all the payment and things like that. We will go to some different vendor. We want an online facility. So again, this is revenue loss if you're not providing that feature. That is the reason I mark online payment. Now let's look at the features that we have not marked. Okay, I've marked these features. Let's look at the features that we have not marked. So this will be your first step, guys. Think about before your prioritization call with the customer. Go through the backlog and think about the items in the backlog for some time, and then mark out these items. Which of these items are of absolute benefit and are absolutely mandatory for the release? Okay, so that's the right word. When we say it has maximum benefit, we also are saying that is absolutely mandatory for the website to function. Now, you must have seen I have picked up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, you will say, hey, what about login? Why did I not pick up login? Let me tell you that. Okay, so I picked up registration because I told you that user information is very vital for the automobile company to understand who's coming to their website and to follow up on the leads. Now, after doing this one round of prioritization, I realized, okay, if I picked up registration, then login should be definitely there because login is having a dependency with registration, isn't it? I told you. How many of you agree with it? This is how we have to look at it. I'm giving you examples for each and every parameter. When you, in Webop, when you see a whole bunch of parameters, you will wonder, how can I use so many parameters for prioritization? I'll just go crazy, isn't it? That's the overwhelm most of the students get. I'll just go crazy in the project if I use all these parameters. But this is how we have to do. This is the approach that I used to follow personally. First, highlight the mandatory features. Then think about, okay, are these mandatory features having any dependencies amongst each other? Let's look at the dependencies. So which means the first factor that I used for prioritization was benefit. And the next parameter that I'm using is dependency. So I figured out that registration has a dependency on login. So I can't say no to login. It comes into picture. Now, are there any other dependencies? Can anyone tell me any other dependencies, guys? Do you see any dependencies? I want you to identify that. Do you see any dependency? So I see the feature number 6, search engine, has a dependency on the car inventory. Why? Let's say I ask my technical team to develop the search engine. But if I don't tell them to upload car inventory in the backend, that means complete this particular backend task, the search will not retrieve any results. Search will always show 0 results fetched because there is no car information in the backend. There is nothing in the database, is completely empty. Which means I have to pick up, it is absolutely mandatory for me to pick up this upload car inventory. Okay. Now, the other parameters. Blogs, of course, you understand, although it is of a value, but it's not absolutely crucial to have it on the website in the first release. Promotional offers. Now, if the business goal of your customer, one of the topmost business goal of your customer is to increase revenues, then this will also be a priority item. This you can discuss offline in a discussion with the customer that do you want the promotional offers as a high priority? So I will, in our discussion, I'll park it separately. Okay? There will be always these kind of features which you have to understand from the customers, the criticality, because this feature is definitely having an impact on their business. Promotional offers, when you flash it on the homepage saying that so much discount on this model, this category of cars, there are the sales for those cars actually spike up. So this you can discuss the customer based on the criticality. Now the other things, upload existing seller and upload existing buyer. Now let's say in our case, there is no urgency to upload the existing buyer. In our case, it is not there. Why? Because we can go with an empty database of buyers also. We can invite new buyers to come register and log in and create accounts for the first release. For the second release, we can plan an upload of an existing buyer kind of thing. Because if you look at it in this way, there is no section on the website we are displaying buyer information, the existing buyer information. Okay. So this is something that you can postpone for the next release. And similarly, with the seller information, the existing seller, we are not, along with the vehicles, we are not displaying the seller information. Because if the seller information is displayed, then the buyers will directly contact their sellers, right? Then how will this automobile company get their commission? So in your project, if that information is being displayed on the website, then it becomes crucial. In our case, we are not doing that. So that's why we can keep aside upload existing buyer and upload existing seller for the first release. It doesn't mean you are not going to do it in the project, guys. Understand, we are prioritizing only for one release where the customer says that he has a limited budget and would like to go only with the must-have features on the website. Okay. Now, why did I exclude compare cars? Compare cars is it's definitely a beneficial feature, but it's again a nice to have feature. Okay. It will help your buyers arrive on a decision which is the best car for them. But even without a compare car feature, the buyer can take this decision on his own. So we can push this feature to the next release. So all the features that I have not marked here are something that will go in the next release. Release 1, we can successfully roll out release 1 using the marked features. Okay. So I used benefit and dependency as 2 parameters for this prioritization exercise. So the other factors like risk factors and all, actually in our exercise, we can't bring the risk factor here, right? In an actual project, as a BA, you'll be able to understand how risky a particular requirement is. Whether that requirement is technically feasible, your technical team will tell you that. In our case, that parameter is not applicable. Also, we don't have any compliance related requirement. So that's also null and void. Everyone understood this this prioritization exercise? Type CL in the chat box if you are clear on the prioritization exercise, or if you feel why has ma'am not picked up this particular feature, and mention that also in the chat box. I've given you logical reasons for why I have not picked up a particular feature. You can also go and watch the recording once again. If you are still not convinced about a particular feature should have been in the prioritization bucket. Okay. Great. Let me go to Webok once again. Now we are going to see a couple of other tasks that are there as part of BABOK, and then we'll quickly jump into JIRA. The next task in BABOK talks about requirement changes. And what is change in a project, guys? What is a change? Yes, that's correct. Change could be a need. Additional requirements that the client has. So what we need to understand is a high amount of confusion of what exactly changes. So the new requirements that your customer is giving you, that is not a change. Let's say you are working on an application. This application is already up and running in production. The customer is already using it. And he is giving you requirements for new screens, enhancement requests, I'm saying. So the new screens that you're building right from scratch, that's not change. You're not making a change. You're adding new functionality. So adding new functionality is not a change. You are enhancing the existing application. So what exactly is the change is if you are changing an existing functionality. For example, in this bootcamp project, your customer asks you to develop the login and registration page. He gives you the requirements. And as a BA, you do a good job documenting it and you convey it to the technical team. Technical team develops the login and registration page. And after which the customer tests it and he's satisfied, he's happy. Okay. And he asks you to roll it out in production. So login registration is now live in production and users start using it. Now, somewhere down the line, the customer discusses with his senior management and they decide to change this functionality that they had approved previously. Okay. They had approved, and that's the reason you enrolled it to production. So this customer comes and tells you, no, let me give you a scenario. This customer told me, Sajna, in the last release, we rolled out login screen. However, the login screen has just one way in which the user can log into his account. That means he can log into his account using his email address and password. For our internal discussion with our senior management, we were of the opinion that nowadays most of the websites are giving social media login. So why is our portal not giving social media? Because that's one easy way a person can log into the account. So email address and password, let that remain because that's an existing functionality. We also want you to add 3 more links to the existing login page, which will allow the user to log in using his Facebook account, his LinkedIn account, and his Twitter account. So give him 3 different handles, social media handles, which he can use to log in. Now, what is this, guys? He has brought about a change. He has brought about a change to an existing functionality. So it's not, now when you look at this particular change, you will think that, oh, it's only about adding 3 links. No, there is a lot of work involved. It's not about adding 3 links over here. How many of you agree with it? That there is work involved in it? It's not as simple as putting a link over there and redirecting the user to some website. No, it is not. Why? Because if the user clicks on login with Facebook, it should go and fetch his profile details from Facebook and help him log in, right? If he clicks on LinkedIn, then the same process should happen. So there is work our technical team needs to do. Now, this requirement was actually given to me by a customer. And when you look at, like I said, when you look at this requirement at one glance, you feel, oh, this is a simple thing. 3 links, that's it. But I did a in-depth analysis of this requirement, discussed it with my technical team. And technical team and me, we both agreed that if you're changing login, we have to change registration. Right, guys? Do you agree with me? If you agree, type yes. Or if you do not agree, type no. Yeah. Why? Because if you are allowing the user to log in using Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, you should also allow him the same while registration, right? Why in the registration you are mandatorily asking him to create an account using email address and password? So my technical team also highlighted, Sajna, if a user uses email address and password and creates an account, then if he tries to log in using his Facebook account, we will not be able to identify him. Okay, so this was a technical problem because he said they told me the email address that he must be using in the Facebook account might be very different from the email address that he used in the registration form. Okay. Let's say while registering, creating an account, I used abc@gmail.com. And now, by logging in, I click on login using Facebook. And in my Facebook, my email address is different, xyz@gmail.com. So my technical team said that you'll not be able to identify this user because in our database, his email address is abc@gmail.com. This was a technical issue. So guys, all these things happen when a customer brings about a change. Because of these reasons, we have to do something called as, what is that 2 word that I often use? When customer brings about a change, what does a BA need to do? Yes, a BA needs to do impact analysis. And that is the scenario that I told you right now is the impact analysis that I, along with my technical team, have done. So in several cases, you will need help of your technical team to actually understand the impact. So there's no hard and fast rule that you should do impact analysis on your own only. Involve them in the discussion and do an impact analysis. Like I was not aware of the fact that my technical team will not be able to identify the user if the user tries to log in using 2 different modes. They told me that they will not be able to do that. So then we raised it with the customer. How do we handle this? So it's whenever a customer brings about a change to an existing functionality, that's what a change is all about. The new functionality that's added, those are new requirements. Those are not changes. So in BA-BOK, what BA-BOK speaks about change impact analysis is that as a BA, you should do functional impact analysis to understand how many screens are getting impacted, what functionality is getting impacted. Your technical team might do a technical impact analysis. So many of my students argue with this fact. They say that in their projects, it is the technical team who does impact analysis. So it's okay to involve the technical team in impact analysis. Don't ask them to stop doing what they're doing. They need to do a technical impact analysis also, because as BAs, we are not the right people to understand what is the impact on the database, what is the impact on their code, do they need to rewrite certain part of the code. All of that they are the better judges. So if your technical team is doing impact analysis, let them continue doing it. But as a BA, you should also do an impact analysis, because the value that we bring to the impact analysis, our technical team will not be able to. Because and many a times you will see as a BA, sometimes a change that the customer has asked for is absolutely beneficial to the customer, is it's very critical to the customer. But your technical team, just because there is additional effort involved, they'll try to do, if there is additional effort involved, too much of a headache that particular changes for them to restructure the code. What they'll try to do, this happens in many projects. Sorry, my screen went blank for a second. Yeah. So what your technical team will try to do is they will try to, yes, push it to the next phase, push back the request. Very correct. You'll see this in most of the projects, that they don't want to make too many structural changes to the code, and they'll say, no, this is not possible, or this is actually not required. So as BAs, then we have to give a pushback to our technical team, where we feel that particular change is absolutely critical to the business. So as BAs, because our title is business analyst, we have to always think from the customers per se. Something very critical for him. The strategy that I used to use with the developer team. Anytime they say this is not possible, not feasible, or there's too much work involved, I used to take them in a separate meeting room and ask them, okay, this is absolutely critical for the business. Let's brainstorm and come up with a best approach that we can go with, best case scenario. Okay. How best we can implement this. Let's not keep looking at the problem. Let's look at the solution. So for every problem, I believe there is a solution. So discuss with your technical team rather than just listening to the technical team and telling your customer, no, we can't do it. That's change impact analysis, guys. Change impact analysis, which is indicated in the book. And the last task talks about approving requirements. Approval of requirements has to be taken. You should be knowing that who are the actual approving authorities in your project. So that is the reason I say during business analysis planning, there was a section where we spoke about stakeholder analysis. Anyone remembers what's that task name where we spoke about stakeholder analysis in the first knowledge area, BAPM, business analysis planning and monitoring? What was the name of that task where we spoke extensively about analyzing who are the right stakeholders to be contacted? Think about it and write. There was a task called as, remember, yes, correct. There was a task called as planned stakeholder engagement. Planned stakeholder engagement. So approving requirements, the last task of requirement lifecycle management, approving requirements is all about having a proper org chart of the stakeholders so that you can understand who are the right approval authorities. So every time the people who are giving you requirements from the customer side, they might not be having approving authority. They might be the ground level staff who's giving you the requirements, and it might be their senior managers who are approving it. So at the early stage of your project, identify who are the right contact persons, who are the approving authorities, so that you can get it approved. So in most projects, things like, documents like business analysis plan, they have to be approved by the sponsor, directly by the sponsor. The requirements, your BRD, FRD, not the test cases, the documents that you create, BRD, FRD, epics, user stories. Epics and user stories in agile projects are always approved by the product owner. Okay? BRD, FRD are approved by the customer contact. That means, like I said, if your ground level staff, the end users are giving you requirements, then it is their reporting manager who will be the right approving authority. So you will get to know as you are inducted into a new project, or check with your project manager as to who is the right person to seek approvals for. And we have to indicate this in every document that we create. So that's the reason, if you look at the FRD also, there is a section I have put it. The following are the approvals, approving authority for this document. Okay, guys. Now let's quickly learn JIRA. So I'm going to show you how to configure the JIRA tool. Each one of you, pay attention, look at my screen, follow me step by step. In case you get stuck somewhere, don't worry, just leave it there. You can watch the recording and configure JIRA onto your machine and start working. So if you're stuck in between, use the 24-hour magic formula. Within 24 hours, watch the recording and you will be able to complete the configuration of JIRA. Do not panic. Keep watching my screen in that case. It's a very simple configuration. Can we start? If you're ready, yes, type yes in the chat box. Okay, great. So let me go ahead. Just replicate the steps that I'm doing. On my screen, I have opened the Chrome browser. I've opened the browser. Whatever is the browser installed in your laptop, whether it's Chrome, Safari, open it. Go to Google, google.com. Now, here in the search bar, I'm going to type JIRA, J-I-R-A, JIRA. As soon as I type JIRA, I go to their official homepage. The first link that is displayed, atlassian.com, that is their official homepage. Now, you don't need to click on this link and directly go there. Along with this link, there is a shortcut. Start your free trial. Everyone can see this link, start your free trial. This will help you create a free account in JIRA. JIRA allows everyone to create a workspace and start exploring their product. Give me a second, guys. So I'm going to click on this link. Start your free trial. I'm going to go very slow, guys, so that you can follow me. Now it brings me to this particular screen. You selected JIRA software. Do you want to select a second product? So along with JIRA, we want to explore Confluence. So I say, okay, select Confluence. So please click on the select button here. Just beside Confluence, there is a select button. I don't want JIRA for service management. So that is different JIRA dashboard that will be displayed. Look at this free plan, guys. It supports up to 10 users. It gives you 2 GB of storage and offers community support. There it is free, no credit card information required. It will create a free account for you, absolutely. After you have selected Confluence, then you have a next button. Click on the next button. It will take you to the screen. Are you with me so far? Type yes if you are with me. Great. So I want that confirmation so that none of you are confused. So it says JIRA plus Confluence together. Now here we can sign up using any of the methods, okay? Sign up with email or continue with Google. So you can choose any of the method, doesn't make difference. In my case, let me select this. I'm signing up with my Google account. So it has populated by work email address. And then there is a box that is indicated, which says that give your site a name. Okay, that means give a site. The site name is actually your workspace name. Okay. So let me give your own name so that there are no duplicates. Okay. So you'll see as soon as I start typing the name, it is searching whether there are any duplicates in the database. Okay. So that's the reason if you enter masterclass and everything, you'll find that there are duplicates. So enter your own name. That is the best thing. It will be unique. If your name, if they're indicating that this name already exists, then include your last name also along with it. So you'll get a unique identifier. As soon as you enter the name, and the name is a unique name, it will show a tick mark, green tick mark. So which means I can proceed. Click on agree button. So for the workspace name, guys, you can actually use any name. I'm just, for our trial reasons, I'm asking you to enter your name so that you don't have to do R&D with several different permutation combinations. Tell us a bit about yourself. You just click on the skip question. This is just additional information. So click on skip. You'll see on the right-hand side corner, skip question button. What is your roles? Again, skip. What are the main tasks that you are performing? Skip question. 1 minute, 1 moment, your site is just starting up, it says. Okay, and it's configuring. You'll see this progress bar. So just hold on, let it configure. Let this progress. It will just happen in a few seconds. Now it has created a workspace for me. And if you look at the URL, for me, the URL says sajna.atlassian.net and the welcome URL is there. That means a unique workspace has been created for me with my name. So whatever is the name that you have given to that workspace, you will see that the URL is starting with that name. Okay. Now it asks you a couple of questions. I am new to or experienced. So you can select, I am new to JIRA. My team is new to agile methodologies. We spend our time working on features. We have a flexible schedule. So these are questions that you can skip, but you fill it in. This will help JIRA to set up a proper account for you. So just fill these options. Everyone with me so far selected these options that I'm showing on the screen. Great. That's great. You're following the steps. Now click on next. So I'm new to JIRA. My team is new. We spend our time working on features. We have a flexible schedule. I click on next. Now add project details. Now this page is very, very crucial. Don't hurry up on this particular page. Add project details. Again, you can give a name to the project. Let me give a name. Automobile project. So it will pick up the first and last abbreviations as the key. So you'll see that every item in the JIRA will be marked with this key AU, just because I marked it as Automobile US. So in the actual project, this will be the name of your project. Now it says here on the right-hand side, this is very important. The right-hand side shows you templates. You can select some template, and this is very crucial. If you select any template, you will not see the screen that I will see. You will see altogether a different screen. Okay, so just follow this step. Click on change template. Click on change template. And in the template, it shows you Kanban. It shows you Scrum. Which one should we select? And there is bug tracking. We don't need to worry that. Kanban or Scrum? Tell me which one we should select. Yes. We are going to talk about Scrum, right? So we will select Scrum. I select Scrum. And towards the end of the page, if you see, you go to the back end of the page. Right at the bottom, it gives you an option, a blue button, which says use template. Click on use template. So now it has selected the Scrum template for you. Okay. Now it says choose a project type, whether you want a team managed project or a company managed project. So team managed project simply means that anyone from your team can set up and maintain it. So we will select team managed, select a team managed project. So I've selected Scrum as a template. I've selected team managed project. Now the next step is obviously to click on this button, the blue button, create project. So as soon as I click on create project, it says select some tools now and we will help you connect them later. We don't need all of these tools, okay? So I'll just skip. I'm not selecting anything. Skip. Now there is a screen which says invite your teammates. Now this is when you are working in an actual project, you have to send invitation to other teammates. You are not the only person who's going to work in this JIRA tool, right? Each and every teammate, each and every colleague of yours should have access to JIRA. That is the reason these invitations have to go. So in an actual project, you have to fill in the email address of your teammates, and the tool will send email to all of them with a link saying that please join this JIRA board. In our case, we are not going to do that. We will just click on the continue button. We are not filling in any email addresses here because we don't have a team here now. We click on the continue button. Now you see your workspace in JIRA has been created and the welcome screen is displayed. Welcome, let's get you settled in. So there is a take a tour. We don't need to do that. We will, it's a video which will tell you what JIRA is all about. If you want, you can take that, watch that video later, okay, and it will give you a good information about what JIRA is all about. So everyone with me so far, do you see the screen that I'm showing on in my window? You're seeing that? Great. That means you have done a good job in JIRA configuration. So understand one thing, guys. All these different steps that you did it for configuring JIRA and creating a workspace within JIRA. In an actual project, there will be a JIRA administrator. The JIRA administrator might be your project lead or your technical lead or maybe any of the software developers. So your technical team will do all of this configuration. There is no need for you to remember the steps and worry about it. As a BA, we will be given access to JIRA. You just need to tell when you're onboarded to a project, you just need to tell your technical team that I need access to JIRA. Can you give me access? They will create a login credential for you and email it to you. Okay. Clear on this? Are we very clear on this? Type CL in the chat. So here, just because in this class, we are going to learn how to use JIRA, I also taught you how to configure JIRA. In an actual project, configuration will not be done by you. So don't worry on that. So we have finished configuring. Don't close this window. I want you to bookmark this window. Add this to the bookmark by clicking on this 3 dots in your browser window and going to bookmarks and clicking on bookmark this tab. As soon as you click on bookmark this tab, it will show this pop-up. And you just need to click on done. It will bookmark. I ask all students to bookmark this because many a times students forget this URL. The URL that's seen in, you can see in the browser, sajna.atlassian.net JIRA. It's a long URL. So you forget. So after the master class, if you want to practice, if you don't remember the URL, it is difficult. So bookmark it and keep it. If you bookmark it, you don't need to log in again. And otherwise, you need to go to the main Atlassian website and log into your account and then come here. If you bookmark it, it will directly take you to this particular dash. That is the advantage. Okay, guys.
So let's pause here. In the next class, we'll learn how to create epics, user stories, and acceptance criteria. We'll also learn the technique backlog management. So bye for now. Thank you very much for attending the class.